welcome back to a brand new season of the World GT Championship. Season 16 of the world's greatest GT series on the iRacing platform. My name is Peter Mackay, and joining me for this first round of the season is not Paul Smith. Unfortunately, Paul Smith cannot join us tonight. He's not feeling very well, unfortunately, but we have a special guest for you. We have Lorenzo Bonder. Lorenzo, welcome to the World GT Championship. Time for a brand new season.
Time for a brand new season. I'm excited, man. It's been, I think, about 2 years since I last commentated on this championship. I think I did a Fuji round, an endurance round, like in one of the final rounds in 2022. But it's good to be back, man. And I gotta say, Paul, I wish you all the best, man. A speedy recovery.
Yeah, we do. Paul will be back next week, we hope. But for now, you've got a Scottish-Brazilian duo for you in the commentary box tonight for this opening round of what is bound to be a cracking season in the World GT Championship. And we start off with one of our feature race events here at Portimão, also known as the Circuito de Algarve. Starting off here with our feature round, 2 45-minute races tonight before heading to the home of British motorsport, Silverstone, and then a town very close to my heart, Jerez de la Frontera, a fantastic motor racing circuit, packed full of history and heritage. Then we head over to Holland, Zandvoort, then a quick hop to Japan for Suzuka, and then the halfway point of the season, we head to the Italian coast and Misano. The streets of Long Beach, wow, they're going to kick off a really tough, challenging second half of the season when we go on to Spa and Le Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. And then a real multi-continental finish to the season with the Circuito de Barcelona, Road America, and the high banks of Daytona to finish us off just before Halloween at the end of October. So 12 rounds this season, and all with 3 different formats: feature and endurance and sprint as well. Our drivers are out in their qualifying session at the moment, and the pros are last to take to the circuit to lay down their quick laps. Fastest in Pro-Am, Michael Gray, with a great time, setting him at 14th overall at the moment, and fastest in Am, Nick Kirstens in his Ferrari. Lots of new faces to get our head around here in the 16th season of the World GT Championship, but also some real stars back to fight for victory again. Number 43, Josh Thompson for Team Redline. Jack Sedgwick returns with the number 1 plate on the door of his Ferrari to defend his title, and many other names which I'm sure you'll recognise if you're a familiar fan of the World GT Championship. But Portimão, Lorenzo, what a place to kick off the season.
I love it. I can argue it's kind of like my home track of sorts nowadays, because I live in Portugal right now, and despite being on the other side of the country for me, but it's a fantastic complex. It does look like, when you look from the outside, a little bit of Estoril in terms of the shape, right? But it's very interesting how the track drives. It's very challenging, highly technical. I do think if it's perfectly these cars, that the weather conditions look to be mint as well. Just that speed, moderate speed that is catching my eye a little bit, can throw off some drivers in some of the those tricky corners that demand some downforce.
Yeah, a real balanced car required here at the circuit Portimão. 26 degrees Celsius track temperature. Not too bad, actually. Not too hot track conditions at the moment at a virtual 9:38 a.m. but middle of summertime in Sim here in Portugal. Hugely undulating circuit here at Portimão with some really big changes of direction, which tests every single part of a driver's skill set and indeed the car setup as well. So we head up over the crest here, down through, absolutely flat through the left-hander, and then up the hill towards Portimão corner, funnily enough, riding with your defending champion, Jack. Last season he was running a little bit behind the order early on in the season, but he was just relentless in the second half and managed to get his first World GT Championship title. Let's see what they can do. Qualifying against Lorenzo here is going to be super important.
It is. I think track positioning is going to be key, especially if you are aiming towards the Pro Championship, right, Peter? Because it is not a track that you're going to have plenty of opportunities to make like overtakes, because this track has some considered long straights, especially the main straight. It comes downhill, then uphill, and you go nearly 270 kilometers per hour when you go into the braking zone on turn number 1. But because of those middle length straights and some of the bending curves that are either fast or very slow, depending how you look at it, it does open some opportunities for either mistakes and you capitalize on those mistakes, or just pure overtaking opportunities for a dive or something like that. That's why I love this track much more than I had expected when I watched it in real life, the WBC.
So, provisional pole position at the moment, the Porsche 911 GT3R of Alex Davidson on pole from his teammate Ethan Critchley by 0.116 of a second. Then the newcomer to the series, Gabriel Erdalai, is sitting in third at the moment. James Boumet, former champion, switching to the Audi for this year. Interestingly, the new LMS Evo 2 Audi. He's just ahead of Michael Evdoka at the moment. Here's Gabriel coming through the real helter-skelter part of the Portimão circuit, heading up the hill towards Sagres, a corner which absolutely punishes the tyre. You're just right-hander, all the way. Keep going, still going round. Really, really tough on the tyre. It's still going. The tyre's going, please, no more. And finally onto the straight and carrying as much speed as possible. You would do, but Gabriel obviously feels like his qualifying run is at a close, so he will do no better than third spot.
By the way, top 3, basically a Porsche 911 lookout, basically.
Yeah, 4 Porsches in the top 5. We talk a lot about balance of performance in GT racing, both in the virtual world and in the outdoor world too. And yeah, it appears that the Porsches, particularly in the hands of the WSR esports drivers, are looking very strong indeed. Well, qualifying is done. The talking is over, the preparation is done. It's time to go racing for the very first time here in the 16th season of the World GT Championship in association with Next Level Racing and Free M. And look at that, WSR Esports looking so strong. Alexander Davison, Ethan Critchley and Gabriel Erdalai are your top 3. Then it's Altitude Esports with their Audi for James Boumet in 4th. Then it's Michael Evdoka making it 4 WSR cars in the top 5. Josh Thompson will start from 7th. There's a little bit of a surprise. And then it's the first of the Mustangs, the brand new Mustang, Anders Meyer in 8th with Victor Wolfson, newcomer to the championship, alongside Nathan Moore. Then it's Axel Slepcevic and Eric Rosseth, very quick driver from last year. Alessandro Torchio will start in 13th in his Lamborghini alongside Michael Gray. Then it's Mark Fletcher and Jamie Rushworth. Adam Watson, last year's Pro-Am champion, starts 17th alongside Rhys Saunders. Then it's Matthias Temme, Bacon Zelenka, Alex Gall, Nikolai Agard, Andy Archer and Paul Webster round out the top 24. Then it's Jake Blackwell, Nick Kerstens, Joe Newman and Josh Boot in his Ferrari. Richard Simner will start 29th in the Corvette alongside Dan Blackwell. Then it's Mads Lund Jensen alongside Jesse Payne Wilkins, followed by Ben Altria, Andrew Fairley, Lee King McGee and Phil Samways. Starting on the 19th row, it's Xander van der Heijwen, and then it's Harry Langford. Thomas Aspog is 39th alongside Jack Osborne. Chris Chariton will start 41st alongside Dennis Grabowski back in 42nd. That is a surprise. Adam Locke is 43rd. Then it's Mike Barber, Simon Andre Livingston, Nathan Healy, Adam Hedgecock and Johnny Walker in 48th. And finally, rounding out our 51 car grid are Matt Kelson, Ben Bennyworth and Andy Jones. So the entire field covered by 2.7 seconds. Shows you the depth of talent we have here, Lorenzo. Yes, we have 3 classes in one, Pro, Pro-Am and Am, but 2.7 seconds to 51 cars is mighty impressive.
It's mighty impressive, not gonna lie. And normally you'd expect the delta between pro drivers and amateur drivers to be much higher than that, like 3-4 seconds, right? Depending on the variety of circuits that we go around the iRacing calendar over here. But it's good to see this close between everybody, and I wish everybody a really good race on a track that like I said, it's a little bit dear to me. It's one of the tracks that I think I went kind of like in blind in other sims, and I loved it from the get-go. Love watching in real life. It does, like I said, fit these cars. Should provide a really good racing, especially if we're thinking about maybe a potential strategy down the line.
So yeah, 45 minutes the distance then for this race. Each car has a 50% fuel limit, so approximately 25 minutes to half an hour into the race is as far as these drivers can go before they need to come in and fill up with fuel. At that point, they can decide whether they want to put tyres on while the fuel is going in. They have that option open to them. I wonder if we may well see left-hand side tyres being fitted here, because that double right-hander, it's actually really a one continuous triple right-hander, the double right-hander of Sagres, and then the endless right-hander of Galp onto the front straight just tortures the left-hand side tyre. So we could well see that. Let's have a look and see how that one plays out over the course of not just this race, but the next race as well, because we have our return of the infamous spinny wheel, which sets the grid for the second race, which always mixes things up, and being able to perform well in those reverse grid races is really key to becoming a world GT champion. Ross McFarlane, he's done it 4 times. He's really the all-star driver in the history of this championship. But Jack Sedgwick, a driver who's knocked on the door for so many seasons, finally got that monkey off his back. And now that he has, well, he's always going to be a threat to watch in that Ferrari. But it's 3 Porsches that will lead us away for WSR Esports. Are you sitting comfortably? I hope so. A new season of the World GT Championship is upon us. Some familiar faces up the front. Alex Davidson and Ethan Critchley. Ethan Critchley, who progressed his way up through the AM class, Pro-Am class, and then into Pro, and now one of the absolute front runners in this championship. But Alex Davidson, super experienced in this series, and he will lead us off into this opening round of the season. The Porsche 911 Cup Touring will pull off and take us into this 45-minute encounter. Nerves, I'm sure, are jangling in the cockpit of some of these cars, if not all of them. And Alex Davidson hits the loud pedal straight away. He waits for no man. Season 16 of the World GT Championship is underway. Green flag in the air, and Davidson has hit the loud pedal early and leads the way down into turn 1 as the WSR Esports Porsches are going to make it 1, 2, 3, 4 as if Doka makes a move on Cedric. They're side by side. Cedric's not letting him have it, and then up the inside comes Bume in the Audi. So James Bume in the Audi has got past Evdoka, so Evdoka quickly got up to 4th and then back to 6th, and oh no, we got a Corvette off into the kitty litter, so not a great start for the Corvette brand in the World GT Championship. But all things considered, Lorenzo, fairly clean on that very tricky opening sector.
Yeah, absolutely. We even saw that 3 wide, like you said, Boomy already going for it in one spin around. I think that looks like to be Alessandro Torchio that got spun around on his Lamborghini.
Yeah, good spot, the 912 of Alessandro Torchio. Great name, love that name. And of course, driving a Lamborghini, of course, it would only be right. Great to see the new Ford Mustang GT3 in there fighting as well. Several teams opting for that new machine, particularly the Norwegian team that did so well last year with their BMWs. Really impressive run with Anders Meyer and Eric Rosseth. Racing Lab Esports decided to switch their front-engine BMW for the front-engined Mustang V8 with that Coyote V8 in the front of it. It sounds absolutely glorious, as you would expect but it's going to have to go up against some established competitors here. The Porsche, WSR Esports, switching to the Porsche. They had the Lamborghini last year, and oh, there is one of those Racing Lab Esports Mustangs off, unfortunately, so not a good start for car number 2, Simon Andre Livingston, who competed for the AM Championship last year.
Yeah, but other than that, a relative really clean start for everybody, right? A few RG barges over here and there. Of course, nature of it's a wide track of sorts, so we expected a few 3 wides already going around some of these corners, especially the first 4 corners of this track. And fortunately, everybody majorly got away unscathed, but more spins around, one Corvette is off.
Oh, Corvette, not a good start for the Corvettes early on. Oh no, we got a Porsche in the kitty litters. Jamie Rushworth in car number 3 getting into a bit of a tangle there, just at that very nasty little hairpin, the Tora VIP. You're down to about 60 kilometers an hour through there, so it's very, 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 very tricky through that corner. So easy to get tangled up. So the good thing is, though, this is a FIA Grade 1 circuit, so there's huge amounts of runoff. So yes, if you get turned around, usually you'll have to be very unlucky to find a wall at Portimão. Probably turn 1 if you get it really wrong through there. It can often be the wall at the other side can be waiting for you. More cars in the sand trap, a couple of Ferraris off early on. So we've got this start of the season syndrome going on here, Lorenzo. We're taking a little bit of time to settle in.
Yeah, it is. I think we had can we say too early on the compliments, maybe a little bit. Other than that, everybody at the front looking pretty much clean.
Yeah, at the front, no surprises to see Alex Davidson and Ethan Critchley settling down into a rhythm as Adam Watson, oh no, last year's Pro-Am champion, brings his Audi into the pits. So Altitude making a switch over to that new Audi Evo 2, or new to iRacing at least, and it's well, that's interesting with Adam Watson switching from the Porsche, which he did so well in last year, but he's gone into the pits, and unfortunately that will be a chance of a good result in this opening race of the season off the cards.
Is it just me, or am I seeing Cedric already out of this race as well?
That's a very good spot, Lorenzo. Yes, it is. Yes, he's out. So Sedgwick, that's big news. So your defending champion Jack Sedgwick is out of the race. Car number 1 is down and out. So, and the thing is, with the reverse grid, unless you get a complete reverse, and even then, if you don't finish on, I think it's within 2 of the lead lap, you're not going to get the reverse grid anyway. So that will mean that he will start right in the back of the pack for race 2. So Jack Sedgwick could be coming out of Portimão with almost no points to his tally. Meanwhile, surely who his biggest rivals are going to be Davidson, Critchley, the new star in Ardellai, and James Boumé as well. They're all up there at the front. Josh Thompson up to 6th as well.
Yeah, it's funny to think that this lockout from the WSR Esports butt kicker is slightly surprising to see all 4 Porsches. But personally speaking, I'm not even surprised. I kind of half expected it of sorts, given the fact they practice a lot in the championship. They have a lot of experience in the championship. I think Davidson contended, if not won, the championship a few seasons ago. So it's like not surprising at all. We're going to see more replays. Whoa, that's why Sedgwick was off.
That looked like a hardware failure to me.
Yeah, look, I'm with you on that.
We can maybe try and get an onboard look at it and see what Jack Sedgwick was dealing with on board that Ferrari 296. But there has been problems in the past for Jack with his internet connection. Let's ride on board then. Let's listen. Oh, that's total failure.
Yeah.
It's almost as if his pedals disconnected, because he came off the throttle, but when he hit the brake, there was absolutely no reduction in speed whatsoever. And he had steering input but I think his pedals have broken.
Good question for me. We're going to look on the replay more stuff. Okay.
A disagreement there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, when you've got... It's easy to criticise. Looking at some of these replays, it's easy to criticise, but when you're trying to put 51 GT3 cars, and they're big machines nowadays, you're trying to put 53 GT3 cars through the opening section of Portimão, you are going to get the occasional tangle. It's just... there's almost not enough real estate on there to get through. Some are more clumsy than others, I admit, but there are a few that just are quite simple racing incidents that are able to be continued from.
Yeah, we're seeing all the first few lap issues basically, Peter. But yeah, there's only so much the track wideness can give you, and like I said, some places over here can lead to some driver mistakes. I already got info on Jack. Apparently, he had connection issues. That's why he dropped out. And Eric Ross as well, having issues on his Mustang. Apparently technical issues with the client, and unfortunately out of the race as well.
So technical issues, it's something that we do contend with here in the sim racing world. Just like in the outdoor world, they contend with electrical faults, engine failures, etc., gearbox problems, what have you. We have them too here in the virtual world. The virtual cars themselves are super reliable, but it's the things that go wrong are computers, internet connections, and your hardware, your pedals, your wheel, that kind of thing. We see that more regularly than you would imagine if you're new to virtual motorsport. So that's a really big shame, but it really is part of the game, unfortunately. You know, when you're taking technology to quite a advanced level now, with the way and how advanced iRacing is, you are putting your PC to its limit, depending on what you've got, of course. But yes, it can happen. So that's a disaster for Jack Sedgwick. Really, I wonder. Hopefully, he can get some sort of fix to get back out there, Lorenzo, and get out there for race 2.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. As we're seeing more cars in the pit lane, Andy Archer coming in for. Apparently, I don't know if the car looks to be in one piece, but yeah, it's funny to think about how iRacing has evolved through the years, right? As now you need a beefier computer or a better machine to handle, especially 50-something cars on the server like this, so it can get a little bit frustrating on your machine and something like it, as been Hiduin nearly right in the back of the Audi right there.
Yeah, so it's hopefully, let's see if Jack Sedgwick can get his computer sorted and get back on. But we battle on. Jesse Payne Wilkins there holding off one of the Mustangs as we ride with Mike Barber in the Ferrari for Verano Motorsports. The 296 GT3, the car which Jack Sedgwick took to the title last season. Turbocharged V6 engine, mid-mounted, and constructed by Orica. It's an Italian design, it's a Ferrari design, Ferrari engineered, Ferrari tested, but an Orica built car. And it's been fairly successful, I think it would be fair to say.
I'm surprised with that Orica information.
Yeah. That's I think they've got a waiting list as long as the main street in Maranello for these cars. So yeah, it's great to see. Mike Barber
Street, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It very much is. So 34 minutes to go, and for Andy Archer there, who was that off on the left-hand side? Andy Archer, who had to pit there a few minutes ago, he will not be able to get home from there with no more pit stops. It could have been Jamie Rushworth. He can't get home on any more pit stops because really the absolute maximum pit window is 30 minutes. Even then, you're going to have to do a lot of fuel saving to get home without any more pit stops. So you have to be pitting sort of 25 minutes to go and later. I think we'll see the majority of the pit stops between 15 minutes to go and 25 minutes to go, because that's when you can pit safely, fuel the car up, and get back out there. question is as well, Lorenzo, is what the tyre strategy will be. How many tyres do you put on or do you just leave the tyres that you've already got on?
Yeah, because of the track, you fuel and put the tires at the same time. I think because it is a short fuel range, right? You're going to be short fueling the car of sorts. You don't have a lot of options to go 4 tires. 4 tires consumes around 60 seconds. You're going to take about 12, maybe 12 to 14 seconds to fuel everything. And considering you have still the run of the boxes and all, I think that left-hand side tire you were mentioning might actually be the way to go moving forward with the strategy here at Portimão.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And for the front engine cars, likely a front left, and for the mid to rear engine cars, I think a rear left might be the order of the day. Josh Boot, driver who had a fantastic season in places last season. He had some double victories at times. He had huge bursts of speed where he was untouchable in the AM class, and then he had other days where it just all went to pieces. He had a real mixed bag. He's moved up to the Pro-Am class this year, still with Atomic Esports, and running a Ferrari, having run the Lamborghini last year. So running in the Pro-Am class, which is led by Michael Gray at the moment in 11th position, with Rhys Saunders leading the AM class in 13th overall in his Audi. A lot of Audis up there in that top 15. A lot of the Pro-Am and AM drivers deciding to go with the Audi, which I must be honest, I'm quite surprised by, because it can be a fairly spiky machine.
It is still a spiky machine compared to the old one, but I think it retained a little bit more stability. I think if you try to make comparisons nowadays, it drives a little bit more towards what the Ferrari does. It's still somewhat slidey if you try to do a lot of setup tweaks around the car, but it's a car that for this season in GT3 racing and iRacing, if you go on the officials, it's a solid pick. It's actually a really solid pick. It's one of it wouldn't be the worst choice. I think would be the 5th best car of all the 12 cars that now iRacing provides. So it's a choice that you can perform well if you find the right setup and you practice on it and you hone the track down to the nail.
Victor Wolfson, new driver to the championship, running in 7th place right now, just about 3 seconds or so back from Josh Thompson for Team Redline. But up at the front, it's still Alex Davison who leads by 1.4 seconds from his teammate Ethan Critchley, who in turn has about half a second back to his teammate Gabriel Erdeli. And then James Boumé, former champion, about a second and a half further back, with Michael Evdoka rounding out the top 5. So it's 4 WSR Porsches in the top 5 at the moment. What is a bit of a surprise to me, though, is Josh Thompson right now, Lorenzo. In 6th right now, you would expect him to be up there fighting with the WSR cars for the podium.
I agree, and seeing him 6 seconds back, I think might be a little bit of a problematic situation right now. Considering, of course, some of these drivers might be thinking about, fuel saving, try to take it to the longest, right? And in a car that, in my point of view, Peter, for a track that has long straights, needs some reacceleration, the Ferrari would be one of the best cars, one of the best choices for this. Surprises me a little bit that he's not being able to perform. But then again, Josh, I think, is still recovering from the spot 24 draw that he had over the weekend.
Yeah, that's a really demanding endurance race in the sim racing world. I mean, the Spa 24 hour to keep yourself out of trouble with track limits, keep the concentration up, not make a mistake. It's really, really mentally taxing.
Especially with the rain, right?
Oh, yeah, a whole new challenge. That's a great point. Yeah, a whole new challenge. So, yeah, Josh, I would imagine he's maybe a little bit sleepy, but great to have him back in the championship. He's always entertaining, always fast. It's just how fast. And when everything clicks together, he could be unbeatable on his day. So he's decided to go for the Ferrari 296, and at the moment chasing down Michael Evdoka, who's made a great start to the day actually for WSR Esports. Had a kind of up and down season last time, but starting off season 16, how he means to go on. Listening to that, 4.2 litre flat 6. Nothing sounds like it. Depends what your flavour is. It's totally unique. You know when you walk into a circuit in the morning, in the chill of the morning, and you hear cars going out for morning warm-up, you know when it's the Porsche. And I dare say nowadays, Lorenzo, you can hear when it's the Mustang as well with that Coyote V8.
Oh yeah. When I was in Le Mans earlier in the year, you knew which car it was. Like, I was stationed at the Porsche curves. You knew when they were coming down from Arnage. You would know 3 cars from its noise: the Porsche, the Mustang, and also, slightly surprising, the Lamborghini. So these are the cars you would knew from a mile away they were coming. But it's a really good noise. Not as beefy as the RSR though, but it's still a good noise.
No, that will go down as one of the great loved race cars. Mike Barber, unfortunately, getting into a tangle with one of the Mustangs, unfortunately. So it's one of the Racing Lab Mustangs. Now, first pit stop's happening. This is within the pit stop window. There's an Audi there, full tilt Audi, up on the jacks. So deciding to take tyres, but not everybody is. Interestingly, Jamie Rushworth did not take tyres there, not that we could see at least. One of the Lamborghinis there not taking tyres. So there's a bit of a mix-up in strategies. Because of course, with the new iRacing tyre model, you've got to, the tyres take time, like a real racing tyre, they take time to work into their operating window of temperature and tyre pressure. But of course, with that new tyre, you've got the additional grip that new tyre gives. So it's a real trade-off. You maybe suffer a little in the first lap or two, but then once it starts coming to its own, you can push. I just think that last section is so punishing on the tyre. Just particularly the left-hand side tyres just get absolutely no break there, and we've seen several times in various racing series that come here to Portimão, the left-hand side tyres on a GT car, they get absolutely tortured through there.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing you need is also downforce. There is a certain amount of tires you're going to be able to have, the tire grip that is going to be allowed for you to use around Sagres and Gulp. So you need a car that is able to handle the downhill. There's a few bumps from the downhill up to the compression that it leads up the uphill into the main straight. So you need some of the downforce for that, and maybe some right adjustments on the springs. So yeah, I'm surprised not some of these pieces are being done. But then again, they probably don't want to deal with the variables of high pressure on the right side and low pressure on the left side for the first few laps and upset the car.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is, of course, the trade-off. Great to see so many of you chatting with us in our RaceSpotTV live stream. Hello to Mark Kent, who says, full tilt running the Audi. Are you really surprised? That's a very good point. Full tilt have been super loyal to the Audi, even in its previous guise, where it had a bit of a widowmaker reputation, but full tilt, they felt like they had they were the R8 tamers, and that experience with the car, with this new evolution, I think is paying off for them. Hello to Verano Motorsport, David Baker, Tim Graven, and all of you as well. Loads of you chatting away in our RaceSpotTV stream, so thank you very much. I see our very own Paul Smith there as well, so good to see you're tuning in, Paul. Hope you've got your feet up with a Lemsip or whatever the suitable remedy is.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, we need to see his whole glory hat back on the broadcast.
Oh, I'm sure it's polished off, ready to go. Bacon Zelenka, Altitude Esports, fantastic names and great new names in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. He's being pressured though by I think that field of Audis and one Ferrari in the back. The line is a little bit different though. You can see he goes deep on the braking zone, kind of hits the apex, but it washes out on the exit of the corner, loses a little bit, but retains the position just because it is so hard to overtake on the reacceleration.
I think since it's round one, Lorenzo, we need to start a petition and get the momentum early. I think Bacon Zelenka should be running a pink pig livery. He needs to be in a Porsche for that as well. But yeah, I think a pink pig livery, special livery for Bacon Zelenka. It's probably pronounced completely differently, so I'm very sorry if I'm butchering the name. Way there we go. 22 minutes to go in this motor race, and getting into the meat of this opening stint. Quite a few drivers, around 10 drivers or so, have taken their scheduled pit stop, so the majority of the field still pushing on. Alex Davidson leads by 1.5 seconds from Ethan Critchley, with Gabriel Erdeli in third. Paul Webster into the pits then in his full tilt Audi, hitting the pit limiter and finding his pit box. So now starting to be a few takers so far. Some quick times going in out there. Fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:42.694, which is your race leader. The next fastest lap, 1/1000th of a second slower, Ethan Critchley right behind. So WSR Esports, they've clearly been putting the preparation work in with the setup, with the car, and with themselves, because they are just running in flying formation at the moment.
Yeah, basically pulling a what Apex did back at Daytona. We were having the discussion on the Spot 24 when they were doing kind of like matching the same lap, when they were trading draft and everything around the oval portion. So they pulled up a little bit of the same thing here in Portimão, which is a track that drives completely different than the American track, which we'll see at the season finale though, which is going to be a good thing to watch. But other than that, Davidson again with the master class of a driver driving, and they're already matching somewhat, not matching, but seeing some of the back markers already prior to their pit stop.
Yeah, that just held up Alex Davidson a little bit. He lost a couple of tenths there at least, maybe been about half a second getting through on some lap traffic, as Xander van Huywerven in the Lamborghini making some moves through the field. This is the battle over 23rd place, and Van Huywerven and Mark Fletcher both in the pro class, so they're running further down than they would want to be, and they haven't yet pitted, so that is a real place. Into the pits, Bacon Zelenka and Nick Kirstens, they are in the pits at the moment getting filled up with fuel. So Zelenka's Audi for Altitude Esports by Sim Stickers. A few different Altitude Esports teams this season, running different liveries, and leaving behind the traditional blue and silver of that squad. So if they've left their traditional colours behind, Lorenzo, a pink pig livery shouldn't be much of a problem at all.
No, it shouldn't. I think it would fit just perfectly, and of course would be the throwback to I would say one of the best liveries that came out of the Porsche cars in many years. Not my favorite livery though. My favorite livery is still the Rotmans.
Martini for me.
It's a good one as well. I think it's my second favorite, I think.
Yeah, I think that the Martini. But you know what the cool thing is? Not many people know this. The pink pig livery, that pink pig car, the 91720, was a Martini entry. It was a Martini car, but it didn't have a Martini logo on it because Count Rossi, who owned Martini, he really didn't like the joke. He didn't like the design, so he said, I don't want my name anywhere near that car.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But then he was quite happy when they won the race.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. 18 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Still every car in the top. So there's 28 cars that, in fact, to call that 29 who are due to pit. But just as I say that, Lee King-McGee and Harry Langford make it a front-engined train coming in here into the pits. The Ford Mustang of Lee King-McGee in the AM class running very strongly, and Harry Langford in the Pro-Am class in his BMW. So now starting to see more pit stops going on. Mads Keltsen brings his Ferrari in too. Great to see Alex Gall back in the World GT Championship after a few seasons away. He drove for the VRS Satellite team in a Mercedes a couple of seasons ago, so he's returning with the Apex Racing Academy, a very strong squad in their Ferrari. Great to see him back.
Yeah, it's a very recent hire for the Apex Racing Academy. Really good driver. I've seen Alex overperform for Satellite so many times over not only here at the World GT Racing Championship, but also other championships in iRacing as well. I think it was due for him to actually have a change of air, and knowing Sayandra and the boys back at Satellite, they wouldn't deny him the chance. So hope he makes it the best effort out of it at Apex Academy.
So Nathan Moore now into the pits in his WSR Esports Porsche, a crew that have clearly got the Porsche absolutely dialed in. Did he go up in the jacks? I don't think he did, so just fuel going in there for the WSR Esports driver. I have to say, I'm completely impartial, but that Mustang is so cool. It is just so cool.
It is.
The way that the Ford Performance and Multimatic have built that car into a GT3 machine, and the way that the rear wing is sort of, it's a huge rear wing, but then it's still kind of fitted, it's mounted right into the back window and doesn't protrude too much. It's a wonderful looking car, sounds great. And Richard Simner also in a new car to the World GT Championship this year, the Corvette Z06 GT3. A fantastic machine. Hasn't quite got the success in the outdoor world yet, but Corvette do not make unsuccessful cars. Never have done, never will do.
No, I think even at IMSA, oddly enough, right, it's not having the best debut season with this new car. Still struggling a little bit, trying to find their footing. I know they're trying to break into the GT World and World Championship, still struggling a little bit on that end. The Mustang also not having the best season inside the GT World. I think when they are at WEC, much better performance when they are racing with the Proton Racing. Now it's weird to see Proton competition not being associated with the Mustangs, but we see, I think, the leaders doing their pit stops over here, Peter, and Josh and Enders going one more lap, potentially going for the overcut, which might be their only strategy for the time being. And let's see if it's gonna work, but it's a good car, great car, by the way.
So Nikolai Agard comes out the pits then, is getting very busy in the pits as well. It is I would say this qualifies as a pit party. Bit of a mixed bag on who's going for tyres and who is not. And off they go then. 14 minutes to go. There's going to be a real mix-up here as they all rush out of the pits. Now, who's carried on? Josh Thompson has gone on, as has Anders Meyer. So the Ferrari of Thompson and the Mustang of Meyer goes on. So they've gone a lap longer than everyone else. You mentioned fuel saving. Do you think that's what Thompson's been up to?
Oh yeah, he's basically been doing that from his Spot 24 days. I think he brought that from the Spot 24 and got it over here in the World GT Championship, and definitely we're going to be seeing that whenever he comes into the pit stop. Question is, does he manage to make the overcut work? Because the gap was around 6 seconds. I don't believe he's going to be able to come into the lead, but I think he might be able to come a place higher than normally he would be able to, and then go against the WSR Esports butt kicker guys.
So into the pits then comes Josh Thompson. So Thompson's gone for tyres. So Thompson has decided he's going right alternative strategy. Now that looked like it was up on the jacks there, Lorenzo, for a very short amount of time. Do you think he's just put one tyre on there?
Front left?
Yeah, could be front left or maybe rear left. What would you prefer? Okay, front left. There was no hesitation there whatsoever. Front left. So 30 minutes to go then. Who has got it right? Alex Davison has come out in the lead, but there's been a change in second position. Gabriel Erdelai is sitting in second. Ethan Critchley has dropped back to third. But interestingly, so Critchley just took that little bit longer in the pits. So perhaps Critchley's put 2 tyres on and that's just held him up a little bit longer, and he's lost track position to his teammate Gabriel Erdelai.
And nearly 1.5 seconds is the difference between them on the box line. So it's those things of fuel saving and who's going to be more efficient coming into the pit stop, stopping the car and getting the fuel on, and then getting our way to the end of the race. Nevertheless, still a lockout WSR Esports top 3.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be absolutely over the moon with the start of the season. And with, taking 4 out of the top 5 spots as things look, Josh Thompson, despite that slightly different strategy, he's 1.6 seconds behind Michael Evdoka now. On ultimate pace. He's about, his best lap is 0.2 of a second slower than Evdoka, but he might just get that little whiff of motivation now. You can see Evdoka ahead of him, and you're right there, Lorenzo, he is closing. He's just nipped a little bit of time. It's now down to 1.4 seconds between Evdoka and Thompson. So we'll keep a close watch on that one, because Thompson will be wanting to get in there in the mix. He won't, I think psychologically as well, he won't want to see all of the WSR esports cars finishing ahead.
Yeah, but I think Evdoka just got a little bit of a second win coming out of turn number 1. There was a back marker. I think there was that. I think that's a Ferrari, from what it looks like, or a Ferrari or an Audi that came right in front of Josh Thompson on turn number 1 and took the line out of the red line driver right at the exit of turn number 1, making him lose a few tenths of a second. But the gap is now coming down again to 1.4 between Evdoka and Thompson.
So just over 10 minutes to go then in this opening race of the World GT Championship. Of course, this race here, the grid set by the qualifying order. That is not the case for race 2. Race 2 is, Adam Watson gets into a big tangle there with one of the Racing Lab esports cars. So the Audi of Adam Watson gets sent for a spin. We sort of caught the end of that incident, but Adam Watson, he kind of played a different game last season. He played a more conservative game, a more calm game, and it really paid dividends. So caught up in a tangle there, unfortunately. So that will cost him some positions. And if you're kind of going around that, hovering around that top 15, Lorenzo, you really don't know how the spinny wheel's going to land. If you're losing a couple of positions, that could end up being crucial by the time we spin the wheel, and you want to catch that reverse grid and try and get a good grid spot for race 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if this goes 1 through 20, right? Which is be key right now. P20s, then Blackwell, and right out in front of him is Nick Kirstens, which is, if I see correctly, is P2 in the amateur category. Now that Reese got overthinking about Alex Gal, but still retaining the lead in the amateur class.
So Michael Gray for Full Tilt, as always, a front runner in the Pro-Am division for Full Tilt. And a great batch of pro drivers as well, always fighting away. Ben Ultra here. Whoa! All 4 wheels off. That's more Audi Group B S1 Quattro than R8. Now, does he catch it? Oh, does he catch it? I don't think he's going to. No, he's not.
No.
I think even Walter Rawl might have struggled to get that one back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also, I think what facilitated Roar's life was the Quattro as a four-wheel drive, not a real rear-wheel drive car as well.
Yeah, great work from our producer Hugo Luis, getting the action shots here on RaceSpotTV. So, just under 8 minutes to go, and Davidson has actually extended his advantage a little. He leads his teammate Gabriel Ardella, a newcomer to the championship, by 2, just hovering around 3 seconds. Critchley hasn't really made any inroads to his teammate. In fact, quite the opposite. He's now about 9/10 of a second behind his teammate. So, yeah, Critchley he'll be a little bit frustrated with that, having run in a comfortable second position in the opening stint, but the pit sequence just not going his way and dropped a position. But James Boumé, he's there in 4th. He's not necessarily got the absolute outright pace of those 3 leading Porsches, but he's right there. He's right there, thereabouts, and that is how he kept himself in the championship last year. He just scored points one after the other. Unfortunately, the last round at Sebring, he really didn't go his way. It just wasn't his night. But right here, he's not ahead of those WSR esports cars, but he's right there, just picking up the points and just reminding them, going, if you guys make a mistake, I'm going to be the first person picking the pieces up off the floor.
Yeah, not only that, look at the last 3 laps. The consistency of Boumé actually catching up. 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, nearly to 6/10 on lap 21. So slightly surprising to see that from the Altitude Esports driver. Now 4/10 last lap. I wonder if Critchley is actually struggling and trying to find the right grip on his Porsche. As we see more incidents, the Atomic car spun around. Was that the number 3 that is spun him out? Rushworth. Ooh.
Yeah, Jamie Rushworth just nerfing Andy Archer in that Atomic Esports car. And more argy-bargy going on here as Xander van Herwijnen gets that bull gets sent for a spin there by the galloping Mustang. So Michael Gray still holding on to that Pro-Am win. He's got a Pro car between himself and Paul Webster, who's also running in the Pro-Am class, second in class at the moment. And then your leader is Rhys Saunders in Am in 14th. Adam Hedgecock, a seasoned veteran of the World GT Championship and the guy that gets our great cinematography shots, taking his Audi for a little bit of a twirl there. No harm, no foul.
That's not a photo-worthy moment for him.
No, not quite, But you'll get a good photograph of it, possibly, I'm sure. And also, Lord Hedge, as he's known, has the ultimate sim racing setup. He's got his screen, he's got his wheel, I think it's a McLaren branded wheel actually. But the best thing about his sim setup is he's got a fish tank in his sim room with some quite exotic fish
swag.
in it.
That's what you call swag.
That is swag, yes. Does that slap? Is that drip? I suppose. Well,
Yeah.
I hope it's not drip. If it's a fish tank, there's a big problem. If it's drip,
If it is drip, then it's
that's a big problem.
big problem.
You don't want that mid-race. We have hardware failures, internet disconnections, but fish tank leakage, that would be a new one. That would be a new one for us. If we see Adam Hedgecock pulling over to the side of the road, we know he's actually having to get some chewing gum out to plug a fish tank leak. Let's hope not, so that his friendly fish are kept alive. Great battle going on here in the mid-pack. It just shows you that wherever you are in the order, there's always battles going on. The 111 of Mark Fletcher sitting in 22nd right now, so this is your battle to get into the top 20. And as you mentioned, Lorenzo, positions here are key. If you could make up a couple of positions late here, that could be the difference of getting the reverse grid draw or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the Ferrari struggling, also going uphill, and the dive on the inside. Here comes Fletcher as well, trying to take advantage of this. But the car watches out a little bit of a bottoming out around the corner. I think he clipped not the sausage curb, but he clipped a little bit of the drainage and made the car go a little bit unstable on its stability. Nice wording.
Yeah, well, that very literal explanation. So, I mean, it's stable. The Mustang stable is where it's kept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was important to clarify.
No, absolutely. And here goes another dive from the Atomic Lamborghini, but he's gonna get X'd. There you go, switchback.
Yeah, great switchback there. It's battling that there. It's Nick Kersons and Joe Newman battling away. Fantastic stuff there, battling for the top 20. So Joe Newman drops back into 20th place. Joe Newman up to 19th then in that blue and yellow Ferrari, and just up ahead of them is the Corvette of Richard Simner, seasoned competitor in this championship in the DCW Racing Corvette. With the now their colours fit very, very nicely onto that car. With DCW Racing always with the yellow and blue, and that yellow front, I mean, that's just made for a Corvette.
Yeah, I agree. Especially they have, it's like, if you think about it, it's three colors, right? It's the yellow at the front, the middle is like a yellow orangish, and then the blue right behind it. And oh, another spin.
Yeah, another one of the Corvettes having a spin around there. Car number 46. No, it's not Valentino Rossi. It's Andrew Fairley in one of the Corvettes, who's had a bit of a twirl there, unfortunately. But good thing is here at Portimão, it's good. I think it's a good track to open the season, because if you get involved in a little incident, maybe have a spin, there isn't a wall there waiting for you. You've got runoff, you can make a little error and get back going, and it doesn't ruin your day. When we get into the mid part of the season and we start going to places like Long Beach, that you're not going to get away with those mistakes. That is where any mistake will be severely punished, and that wasn't a mistake. That was, well, he got help there big time.
Yeah, that who that looked to be? I think Verheyen, that probably did dive bomb and spun around.
Yeah, just seemed like it, didn't it? So coming into the final part of, and that same Lamborghini giving the same treatment to Phil Sandways. So yeah, that Lamborghini of Xander van Herwijnen is not making himself popular on his first day at school in the World GT playground. But it's Alex Davidson, a familiar face, who's at the front of the field. 4.2 seconds to the good from not just one teammate, but two. WSR Esports in position to lock out the top, and for Porsche to lock out the podium as well in this opening gambit of a very long 12-round season. But Davidson, he's been thereabouts for so many years. Is this the season where he puts himself up on the top of the World GT pedestal? No Ross McFarlane today, and Alex Davidson is going to take victory here at Portimão. So a perfect start to the season then for WSR Esports. Alex Davidson takes the race win with Gabriel Erdeli in second. Ethan Critchley rounding out the podium. Then it was James Boumet for Altitude Esports keeping himself in the hunt. Michael F. Doka makes it 4 WSR cars in the top 5. Josh Thompson, he finishes in 6th in his Team Redline Ferrari with his return to the World GT Championship. Anders Meyer in the first of the Mustangs is going to come home in 7th position. But we look back to our Pro-Am leader, Michael Gray, for Full Tilt Motorsport. This crew have stayed loyal to the 4 rings of Audi, and Michael Gray is your winner in the Pro-Am class. And what a story. The number 23, Rhys Saunders, for Altitude Esports by Mr. Hedge Cinematography comes home 14th overall. That's a huge haul of points for his AM Championship campaign.
Great first race of an amateur and two pro amateurs inside the top 15 is a really good result, including one of our organizers, Paul Webster, in P13.
Yeah, I always doff my cap to series organizers anyway, because it's a really big effort and it's difficult to arrange everything. But to do that and race as well is well, I don't quite know how you do that, to be quite honest. So the first race of the season is in the books, but race 2 is bound to have an even more mixed up order because of this, the spinny wheel. This is the number which we will reverse the grid by based on the results of race 1. Oh, we nearly get an all reverse, but instead we get 17 places reverse, which would provisionally put Mads Lund Jensen on pole position for race 2, with Richard Simner missing out on that transfer spot by just 1 place. But here's your order then. A Porsche WSR Esports lockout. Alex Davidson, Gabriel Erdelai and Ethan Critchley. James Boomey for Altitude Esports was 4th in his Audi. Then it was another WSR Porsche of Michael Evdoka. The first of the Ferraris for Team Redline and Josh Thompson. Then the first of the brand new Ford Mustang for Anders Meyer. Then it was Nathan Moore for WSR Esports. Bios Simsport, a new name in the championship, Victor Vulson in 9th, and Axel Slipčević for Altitude Esports rounds out the top 10. Michael Gray took the honours in the Pro-Am class in his full-tilt Audi, with Alex Gall returning to the championship for Apex Racing Academy in 12th. Then it was Paul Webster, great start to the season for him, 2nd in Pro-Am. And your Am winner, well ahead of his contemporaries, is in 14th place, Rhys Saunders for Altitude Esports. Nikolai Agard was 15th. Then it was Bacon Zelenka, Mads Lund Jensen, Richard Simner, Joe Newman and Nick Kerstens. Mark Fletcher, he came home in 21st. Then it was Dan Blackwell and Jack Osborne, with Lee King McGee 24th but 2nd in Am. Jesse Payne Wilkins rounds out the Am podium. Then it was Dennis Grabowski running much further down the order than we'd expect to see him given his performances in previous seasons. Jamie Rushworth was 28th. Then Xander van Herwijnen certainly getting himself well known, and maybe not in the best way, in 29th, with Harry Langford in 30th. Matthias Temme was 31st. Then it was Andrew Fairley, Alessandro Torchio, Phil Samways, Jake Blackhall, Mike Barber, Chris Chatterton, Andy Jones, Johnny Walker and Adam Watson back in 40th. Not where we'd expect to see Adam. Likewise for Seaman Andre Livingston in 42nd, who finishes just behind Adam Locke. Then Mads Keltsen was 43rd, followed by Ben Bennyworth, Andy Archer, Adam Hedgecock, Josh Boot, Ben Altria, Nathan Healy, and one big shock, your defending champion, Jack Sedgwick, not making it really through the first 3 laps. A hardware error or failure for him, and indeed as well for Eric Rosseth. 2 big name drivers going out early in this opening race of the season. A pretty difficult start to the season for them. So, first race in the books. Lorenzo, what did we learn in that opening 45-minute encounter?
That the first few laps can get a little bit feisty. Some argy-bargies here and there, 3 wides. I nearly saw 4 wide nearly forming at one of the spots in the first few corners. But other than that, besides that craziness that got around the start and everybody wanted to move up in the grid, pretty much a calm race of sorts in the front. I think the whole bulk of overtakes and things like that on the racetrack were about in the mid portions from P14, 13, and then all the way to the back. And in the front, I think it's going to be more like of a chess game of sorts of who's going to have the better fuel strategy, maybe a tire strategy. We saw Josh putting some tires, didn't pan out in the end, but Portimão is already proving a few things of how the championship will go forward in the next few rounds.
You're looking at WSR Esports, super strong start to the season. Have they pulled an ace out the bag? Because they appear to be one of the very few teams that have gone with the Porsche 911 GT3R, but they're always going to have front-running drivers. They were front-running in the Lamborghini last year and in the last season, and then Ferrari before that. They're always been up there, but it seems like they've really made a good pick. Do you think they've pulled a trick on the rest of the field by choosing the Porsche?
I think so. I was actually taking a look over here on our live timing real quick before we go into the second race. There have only been 7 Porsches around the track. 4 of them belong to the WSR team, and one of the things that also caught me by surprise a little bit as well was watching the number 3 of Jamie Rushworth. He was on the top 15 when this race began as well, and he was doing a really good performance around the car. It's just, I think after the incident marred race that he had, it didn't pick up, but the pace was there. So maybe the Porsche at this early portion of the season could be the car of choice for everybody to move forward, and they should be watched, of course.
Yeah, I think they're, of course, the one interesting thing about the World GT Championship is, given that it's spread across 12 rounds, 3 weeks and then a week off, and then 3 weeks and then a week off, and so on, there's always going to be an iRacing season update. So once a quarter, we get an update on the iRacing platform, and that is always the biggest mix-up of the order in the balance of performance for GT cars. So yes, the Porsche might be the car to have right now, and WSR Esports have clearly pulled a good one there, but might not be for the other half of the season. So it's really important to get these results in now.
Absolutely, and also I think it took me back to one thing, and one was I normally do some setup stuff for the team, and I look up which setup could be the best of the setup shops. The Porsche for Portimão actually had the best performance because it had the grip, the good balance of, the weight balance ratio that it has around the car, the reacceleration coming out of the corners. I think that made it a little bit of a better choice over the Ferrari. I think that was the second best choice. The Audi was a solid choice as well, but all cars are actually kind of balanced. The one I do expect maybe to see excel in high speed tracks could be the Ferrari. That's where we could see like Josh Thompson having a little bit of a better performance. It's a little bit odd to see him just outside of the top 5, right? Is in 6th place, which is a little bit weird for us to see that, but there's a long championship ahead, and surely that Ferrari is going to be on top eventually.
Yeah, it's been a very strong package since it came out. Great to see so many of you engaging in our chat on RaceSpotTV. Great stuff from Mark Fletcher, who heads up the Altitude Esports crew. He says, now this is brilliant, that our new fan favorite driver, a new name to the championship. His name is Bacon. That is his first name. We are not making this up. His name is Bacon, which I just think is brilliant. And get this, Lorenzo, Bacon has a pet pig called Smokey.
Yeah, that's the best combination, man.
That's awesome.
I love it. You gotta love it.
That is so cool. We love it. We absolutely love it. But we have to, Mark, if I know you're listening, I know you're watching, great to have your company. We have to have the pink pig livery for Bacon, for Bacon Zelenka. It has to happen. It has to happen.
It has to happen, or something pink on his altitude car. Like, it has to happen. Some sort of a crossover needs to happen on his car eventually down the line in the season.
Yeah, it's Altitude Esports. Could be the frozen, the frozen pig maybe. Brilliant stuff. Love it. Great to have him in the championship. Hello as well to Katie Ames. Thank you for getting in touch. Ben Gregory as well, a legend of the World GT Championship, watching along with us. Ben Altria, who we saw getting well, getting some proper Volterol Michel Mouton action in his Audi, which was cool to see. Probably not his fastest lap of the race, mind you, but entertaining nonetheless. Hello to Sideways Games 2. To Thomas Race Engineering, Verano Motorsport, thank you all, and Ryan Martin as well. Thank you all so much for chatting with us. Oh, Mark Fletcher says, "Leave it with me. It's happening. It's happening. Nobody panic."
Let's go. By the way, wishing Ben a speedy recovery. I saw that he has COVID, so
oh no,
a speedy recovery for him.
They're dropping like flies. They're dropping like flies. We've got Paul on the sidelines. We've got Ben Gregory on the sidelines. To be honest, I don't actually think you can start a World GT season without Ben Gregory on the entry list and Paul Smith in the commentary box. It's just against the rules. It's actually written in the sporting regulations. So it's sorry about that we've breached that regulation. Now, this is probably a good time, Lorenzo, that you were at Le Mans this year, and you've been brought in here to help us out with Paul not being here. You've got some merch on, yes. You've come into this commentary box absolutely balanced, haven't you? No bias whatsoever with that shirt on.
No bias. I love Corvettes, and
don't we all?
Yeah, we love Corvettes. I know you do love Corvettes. I know this much. Not as much as you do love Porsches.
I love them both equally.
Oh, you love both to be okay. That's fine. That's what we want. We gotta have that balance. But I've been loving these cars since 2005, when I think I first saw him in the GT Championship, when back in the GT1s, which is crazy for me to think about. And seeing that crazy V8, the one I think they drove for Labra competition, if I remember correctly. So I could be wrong, but it's good to see that. It's good to see the car back in Le Mans again. Of course, not having the best performance, but surely it's the first season. Like you said, they're gonna figure themselves out. Normally first season you have some of these teams struggling. You're trying to find what the best balance of the car. There's the first time they're running setups on so many tracks, and there are so many championship manufacturers that are going with this as well, like Ford as well is going with this. So eventually I think give it a season or two, I can definitely say they're probably going to be fighting for some wins, whether it's going to be in WEC or IMSA or the GT World Challenge whenever they come back next year.
Well, yeah, we hope so. We hope so. And yeah, wishing both our colleague Paul Smith, but also Ben Gregory is struggling with COVID, but other medical treatment as well. Ben, we wish you all the best, and can't wait to see you back out on track. Ryan Walker, though, is throwing his hat in the ring here, Lorenzo. He's an Aston Martin fan. He's yeah, and hard to argue as well. Astons are pretty cool. I mean, DBR9, one of the coolest race cars I think ever made.
Yeah, the GT1. Oh, with that V8, I'm not gonna lie.
V12, come on,
the V12,
6-liter
yes.
V12,
the 6-liter V12. I've been doing some rounds on GTR too. They have a mod with the 2005 championship, and they do have that car. If you put the earphones on and you drive around the lap, doesn't matter which track, Peter, you're gonna be deafened by how loud the car is, and that's how it should be. Yes, it is. It is. It's such a cool piece of kit. So just over a minute and 20 seconds left in this warm-up session before we go into our second race of the day. 45 minutes again on the clock with a pit stop. But the difference is the grid is reversed up to the top 17 cars in race 1, in the finishing order of race 1. So if you finished in 17th position, lucky you get to start on pole position, and the spinny wheel decides. We don't decide. It's the spinny wheel. Now, let's have a look at the track temperature, because the sun is beating down here on a virtual Portimão, and my word, 58 degrees Celsius track temperature. I have to say, Lorenzo, in all my career of commentating on iRacing, I don't think I've ever seen a higher track temperature than that. Oh, I've seen it. Interlagos, I think, is the track that has the highest temperature ever recorded in iRacing. I think I've seen 70 in Interlagos once.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you go with a little bit of the heat map?
It's, as Alan Partridge would say, it's hotter than the sun. So what's that going to do? What are the drivers, when they go out into warm-up here, Lorenzo, what are they going to be experiencing? What do they need to get used to so quickly?
They're gonna have to get used with the fact that the rear tires and those front laps are gonna be screaming, especially like 3 laps in. Finding the grip over here is gonna be problematic, to say the very least. And I think this is going to be more of a strategy-based race, maybe some fuel saving. That's where maybe we're going to be seeing those guys like I would say Josh, who's already, we saw him doing that fuel save, might actually be compensating. So let's go.
Okay, let's have a look then how the second race is going to kick off. Mads Lund Jensen and Bacon Zelenka will start on the front row. Then it's Nikolai Agard, Rice Saunders, Paul Webster and Alex Gall. A lot of quick drivers up the front there. Then it's Michael Gray and Axel Slivjevic, followed by Victor Wilson, Nathan Moore, Anders Meyer and Josh Thompson. Starting on row 7 will be Michael Evdoka and James Boomey. Then it's Ethan Critchley, Gabriel Erdelai and then Alex Davidson, your winner in race 1. Richard Sipner will start 18th in the Corvette. Then it's Joe Newman, Nick Kirstens, Mark Fletcher, Dan Blackwell, Jack Osborne and Lee King McGee. Jesse Payne Wilkins will start 25th, then it's Dennis Grabowski, Thomas Ashpog, Jamie Rushworth, Xander Van Herwijnen and Harry Langford. 31st will be Matthias Temme, then it's Andrew Fairley, Alessandro Torchio, Phil Samways, Jake Blackhall and Mike Barber. Then it's Chris Chatterton and Andy Jones with Johnny Walker and Adam Watson rounding out the top 40. Adam Locke and Seaman Andre Livingston are your 21st row. Then it's Mads Kelson and Ben Bennyworth with Andy Archer, Adam Hedgecock, Josh Boot and Ben Altria rounding out the first 48 cars. And finally, an all-star rear of the field, Jack Sedgwick and Eric Rossith, along with Taylor Lane right in behind them. So, the drivers are on the pace lap, a full pace lap here of this 2.891 mile Portimão circuit, which opened all the way back in 2008, one of the more modern circuits on the iRacing platform. And the drivers will be getting the heat into those tyres, but not too much because, well, I don't think getting tyres up to temperature is necessarily the problem, Lorenzo. It's going to be keeping the heat out of them, which is going to be the almost impossible challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be insane, I think, from start to finish. And more so, I think what is going to happen as well, the leader kind of dictates how this race will start, right? We saw Davidson going very early. As soon as the pace car came into the pit lane and it was already clear for him to start accelerating, he already did that. I think for conditions like this, you might want to, make the start a little bit later than usual. So let's see if that's going to happen.
Let's see what is going to happen then. There's some top drivers lingering near the front of the field. Watch them to make their way forwards. I think Josh Thompson from 12th on the grid could be very dangerous indeed. But the front row will be Mads Lund Jensen and Bacon Zelenka. And if you're just joining us, yes, that is his name. Pink Pig livery loading.
But what round do you expect to see the pink livery coming in, Peter? We gotta make now that
as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Maybe it could be a Le Mans special livery. That would be kind of cool.
I'm down with that. Okay.
Yeah. We also have, another great name, Lee King McGee in the Mustang. He could be Mr. the King, like from Cars. So that special livery round, maybe Le Mans, that gives the team's painters time to come up with their best schemes. The gauntlet has been laid down for you folks. Well, here we go, ready for 45 minutes of racing, the second race of the day here at Portimão. The Porsche 911 GT3 Cup Touring will pull away into pit lane, and it will be Mads Lund Jensen who leads us away. Alex Davidson hit the loud pedal as soon as he possibly could and tried to make a break on the field early. Doesn't maybe look quite like that now as the field is bunching up 2 by 2 in the world's most expensive Noah's Ark queue. And then coming up, waiting for the green flag, and already we got cars off as it was a very late goal from our pole setter, and there's a BMW hard in the fence before even reaching the green flag. But Mads Lund Jensen does make it into turn 1 ahead as one of the Racing Lab Mustangs making it go there. That's Nikolai Agard. Then it's the Audi there of Bacon Zelenka going to try and go round the outside, but there goes the Ferrari of Alex Gal. Watch out for him. And oh, Audi spun in the middle. Audi spun in the middle. It's one of the altitude cars in there. Now, is that Boomy?
That looks to be moving, yes.
Oh dear. Oh, James Boomy has had an issue. He spun in the middle of the pack there, and he kept getting collected there. So James Boomy, after a great run to 4th place in race 1, his race 2 starts off in disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And this already has gone haywire before we even got the green flag. Like, we got, I think, what, about 4 cars that got involved in there, and right after that it was just domino effect.
Yeah, it was dominoes there, and unfortunately the double one was James Boomy there. Oh, right on the side of the door goes one of the Ferraris into one of the Mustangs as they come down through into the second part of the lap. Now, lots of argy-bargy going on. Oh dear, one of the Corvettes off the road. It's the number 46. That's Andrew Fairley, who's had another issue, had an issue in race 1. And oh, one of the Porsches, one of the WSR Porsches is off. Nick Kirsten's off as well in the Ferrari. Oh, it's carnage. It's absolute carnage. One of the WSR Porsches turned itself into a touring by losing its rear wing. Oh my word, what is going on? So one of the Ferraris off here. Now, which one is that? It's not, it's waiting. Nick Kirsten's. Yeah, Nick Kirsten in the Sim Race Sweden Esports Ferrari. I think he's going to have to tow that back, you know. Oh dear. All arms and elbows there. But which WSR Porsche was it? I think it was Michael Evdoka. He's towing his way back to the pit lane. The pit lane is an absolute graveyard at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen Torchio, King McGee, Boomy, Verheyen, Evdoka, Blackwell, Kirsten, Samways, and even he couldn't make it a statement for Grabowski, but Grabowski not in the pit lane. He's in the track, but wow, more incidents at the track again.
Whoa, Paul Webster has a spin and nearly takes one of his fellow Audis out there as well. This opening lap is absolute carnage. We know that it can be a little bit fractious on the reverse grid races in the opening stages, but here at Portimão it's proving to be so. There's a lot of very technical parts of the circuit, and if you're multiple cars wide, you can easily get into a tangle as whoa, one of the WSR Porsches making a big move up the inside there. So that's Ethan Critchley making moves then on trying to make a move on Axel Slipčević in the altitude Audi, but actually has to give best, so drops back to 9th place does Critchley, and he's got his teammate right in there behind him in Alex Davidson, who's just made a move on Michael Gray in that red and black full tilt Audi. So all shuffling, but at the front Mads Lund Jensen leads, but Alex Gal looking very racy there in 2nd place.
What's more impressive is I was taking a quick look on the live timing by the time this all started. Davison was about P20 at the start of the lap. He's down next to the top, he's inside the top 10, which is something to think about. And we saw Greg get swollen whole by Slipčević and also Critchley coming into the Portimão corner, which is the same thing about the aggressiveness out of the drivers coming into the start has already gone through the roof.
Yeah, speaking of through the roof, we've got a huge track temperature here for the drivers to contend with. The tyres are being putting through severe punishment, particularly in that last part of the lap, through the double right of Sagres and the endless right-hander of Galt, where there is really no rest for the tyre through that entire final sector. But Lund Jensen leads then from Alex Gal, who made a great start, took 4 positions in that opening gambit, and he's now got his eyes locked on Mads Lund Jensen. So it's the Ferrari 1-2, then it's the Audi of Bikken Zelenka, and Nikolai Egard, your leader in Pro-Am by a big margin, in 4th place in his Ford Mustang. And Gal getting closer and closer to Lund Jensen at the moment. They're both running in the Pro class, but Gal looking very, very strong there at the moment in that Ferrari.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking really balanced as well, not slipping the car or anything of the sort, and keeping himself within the slipstream of Mads Jensen, which is the important thing right now. You want to keep yourself as close to the lead as possible, which is the good thing to look for. Also, Bikken Zelenka avoiding all the mishaps and the confusion that was around turn number 1 at the very start, and solidifying himself within the top 3.
Josh Thompson in the Team Redline Ferrari up from 12th to 6th place as well. So he's looking good. Davidson from 17th on the grid up to 10th. Critchley from 15th on the grid up to 9th. So the WSR cars have made moves forward as well. But right now Slijepcevic trying to hold off the charging Porsche of Ethan Critchley, and here comes Critchley then up the inside into the Toro VIP. A little bit of paint traded there, blue and yellow of the Altitude Audi and the white and black of the WSR Porsche. And Critchley, is he through? Yes, he is. Gets the job done. So Ethan Critchley makes the move then on Axel Slijepcevic and moves up into 8th position. Next up is his teammate Gabriel Erdelai, who started in 16th. He's up to 7th, so great start from Erdelai in the 77 car.
Yeah, he found the right places for him to make overtakes, which is for him was key, to move up quite fast in this grid, and that's good to know that you have this lightning fast reactions to move up the grid and get yourself ahead of the competition. Question is, can he match what Josh Thompson is doing right now? The gap is very close, about half a second, 4/10 of a second separates them going into the final 2 corners.
So our leaders then coming over the start-finish line. Lund Jensen in the red and white Ferrari being hunted down by the black and green Apex Racing Academy Ferrari of Alex Gal, with Bikken Zelenka keeping them very honest indeed in his number 45 Audi. I wonder if Smokey the Pig is watching. I really hope so.
The same.
It's actually more, you see more, I see quite a lot on Instagram, people with pet pigs. They're very intelligent creatures.
They are, and they're very good pet creatures as well. They're very, especially if you know how to, I'm not gonna say treat them, but what would be the best word? Domesticate them. They're very docile, and they also help in the household if you like to live on a ranch or something.
Yeah, good to have around. I went to a cafe in Japan where they have lots of little micro pigs that run around. Or I think they're baby pigs, no such thing as a micro pig, but they're little baby pigs that run around. They're very, very, very clever, very sweet creatures. Now, all sorts going on in this opening start. This is what happened to Harry Langford. Not an enormous amount that Harry could have done about that. He just got absolutely drilled on the start there. James Boumé. Now, did James Boumé spin there on his own, or did he get clipped around? It looks strange.
It looked like he did do it on his... Not on his own, I think he got assisted.
Yeah.
Right after that, they all kicked off.
It was just a mess. Yeah, absolute mess there. So Grabowski has not had the best start to the season at all. He spins, and then one of the Porsches has to have real avoiding action. So interesting to see Grabowski struggle so much. Nick Kerstens gets in a tangle. That was 2 into 1, didn't go, and hard into the wall there at the rear. If Doka gets ploughed by one of the DCW cars, then it was all arms and elbows after that.
Yeah, all hell broke loose. You can see the steering arm is going to break for I'm gonna push the
Herwijnen.
Herwijnen. Yeah. It sometimes the Dutch names catch me, man. Getting himself right in the middle of all things, and some contact for Adam locked and locked himself in the middle of the track.
So, no such issues for the top three. They've probably got no idea of the chaos that went on behind them because they are bottled up now. Is Mads Lund Jensen the world's most expensive cork in the world's most expensive bottle right now, with million euro Ferrari leading from million euro Ferrari from maybe slightly less expensive Audi? In fact, you can't order a brand new Audi RA LMS anymore. You can still run one, but you can't buy one anymore. Well, you could buy one second hand.
Find one used. You can find
a second-hand one, yeah. But they don't build them anymore. Whereas the Ferrari is very much open for business. A very popular car now in global GT3 racing, and Alex Gall is hoping to take his Apex Racing Academy entry to the front of this race. He's right on the back bumper now of Mads Lund Jensen. Is he close enough to make a move? He is, and he's going to pop up to the inside here, coming down into turn one, braking from 265 kilometers an hour down to 145 kilometers an hour, and then sweeping through towards Lagos and holding on to that. Oh, gets a little bit of a tap there from Mads Lund Jensen, but Gall is unperturbed as they rush out down the hill towards Tora VIP, carrying 165 kilometers an hour exit speed there, and then hard on the brakes from 225 kph to 60 kph. Big braking zone there down the hill, putting a lot of stress through the brakes and the front tires.
Yeah, and there's apparently a note over here on our YouTube chat that maybe it's quite accurate. We're going to see this on the next few laps, that apparently Mads Lund Jensen's car is slightly overheated on the tires. It's going to take a little bit of a while to cool down. Therefore, you could open the door for Bacon Zelenka to come in and do the overtake as we see what is going on Czech's overview.
So Jack Sedgwick starting right at the back of the pack. He's got the car. Well, he's got his equipment repaired, and now let's see what his view is. Does he get through clean at all? Big move up the inside, then keeps to the inside, holds back a little bit, watching everything unfold. It's all about to kick off in just a minute, as it does.
Rush hour.
And he gets through there. It was rush hour. He gets through there without being rear-ended, which is always the problem. You can miss it, but then someone comes piling in behind you. And Sedgwick, his luck might not have been in race one, far from it, but it appears it might be in race two. And what a skillful, decisive cut through the field here for Sedgwick, just picking off positions one by one. Where has he got to in this race? He's up to 23rd, so he's climbed a huge number of positions. He has climbed 26 places in 13 minutes.
And Ben Altria with 24. They're the biggest movers in this grid.
Now, granted, we have had 10 cars that have come into the pits, but nevertheless, that's still very impressive indeed. So 32 minutes to go then. The pit stop window will open in a couple of minutes time, meaning you can have a pit stop and make it to the end of the race with that fuel on board. If you pit before then, you're going to be forced to pit twice. Alex Gall has moved into the lead, and Bacon Zelenka has gone up to second. Mads Lund Jensen all of a sudden is back in third. So what has gone on there? Mads Lund Jensen, in that sort of red and white colour scheme of a particular Swiss-owned tobacco company that used to sponsor a lot of motor racing, is sitting there back in third. So what has gone on for Mads Lund Jensen? So Gall's already got past them by this stage. So Gall made the move into, turn one, and Lund Jensen just makes a mistake at turn one again, and Bacon Zelenka says, I will slice my way through there.
Yeah, I think it goes on the theory that his tires might be a little bit overheated, so it might be actually true, because Wolfson closed down like a rocket on the last lap, 0.8 of a second. That was the closing gap from his teammate right behind him.
So Yeah, he's got his teammate Victor Wilson goes by quite easily. That might have been a little bit coordinated as Victor Wilson goes by on his teammate Mads Lund Jensen, and now Josh Thompson smells blood. He says he sees an opportunity here to make some places, and Lund Jensen is just like a sitting duck now, just cannot get any grip at all, any speed, and through goes Thompson, and then Gabriel Erdeli says I'll have a bit of that as well. Yes, please. And then Erdeli and Thompson, they nearly come to blows there, but Thompson hangs on for now. Tell you what, Gabriel Erdeli might be a new name to the World GT Championship, but boy is he making himself known.
Yeah, he is. I think he's making a great statement in these races and putting some competition in, putting the pressure on those guys up in the front. The pace for them is right around the same thing that Gal and Zelenka are actually doing, so it might take a little bit of a challenge for them to come closer and contend for the top 2 spots, but a good fighting on the track nevertheless.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Thompson now looking to move forward. He's up to 4th, but he's taking Gabriel Erdeli with him, and Erdeli looks really, really strong. And that Porsche is so good under braking. That's I think its best attribute is the braking performance, and into turn 1. That's exactly what you need, but nothing wrong with the straight line speed of Josh Thompson's Ferrari. He carries great speed out the final corner, and then, well, Erdeli not close enough to make a move. So we saw in race 1 where it was very much late in the day for the pit stops, running to the end of that opening stint, so it's unlikely we'll see many leaders coming in to the pits, but Jack Sedgwick has decided to take the earliest opportunity, so he's going way off strategy. He's going to get the pit stop done now, and rather than having to overtake everyone then pit, he's going to pit and then let everyone go into the pits ahead of him, and he'll go past them. That's the strategy, with his ambitious privateer black Ferrari in the pits.
Yeah, which is insane to think about, that his privateer black is still a team livery, or starts making since he's part of Index Racing, right? The long-living Index team that has been around since the early portions of iRacing, as Jensen's going to lose a position to Critchley now.
So this is, yeah, an absolute nightmare for Mads Lund Jensen. So has he overheated one of his tires, and he's just being left like the tire, like almost like he's got a slow puncture rather than, you know, an overheated tire. It's been so damaging to his speed. He was looking good, he was controlling the race well, Lorenzo, but he has just dropped like a stone.
Yeah, I think Ben Gregory pointed out quite correctly, and I agree with his assessment. His rear left looks like to be overheated, and I want to say probably overheated from the fact that he had completely missed turn number 1, right? We saw him missing, and Bacon took advantage of that, right? And in a track that is 58 degrees Celsius, by the time the race picked up, it might have cooled down a little bit as we went forward. It's hard for you to cool down a tire in a track like this.
So Jake Blackall coming in to the pits then in his Corvette Z06. Does he go for tyres? Yes, he does. I think we might well see more drivers taking tyres at the pit stop here. The Michelin shod Corvette. You'll see some of the cars shod with Michelin, some with Pirelli. There's no performance advantage either way. They're simulated exactly the same way. Just a branding exercise, that's all.
Yep. I think, in my point of view, I think for this race, you got to take 2, and I think you actually take 2 within those 10, 11 seconds that you stay in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think just being able to put, it sounds ridiculous, being able to put 2 cold tyres on is probably good here on the left-hand side, because you're going to spike the temperature so hard that if you can put two effectively, you know, room temperature tires on, it makes a big difference, because then you know, if you've got less chance of spiking them. If you keep the same ones on, then much more likely to spike them in the second stint. So really interesting stuff. This is something that's really typical at Portimão. When the World Endurance Championship came here 3-4 years ago, funny enough, the Porsche team with their GTE Pro entries, the 911 RSRs, were taking chunks out of the tyre. Such was the stress going through it. Particularly the rear left was getting completely destroyed. Slipčević into the pits in his Audi then for Altitude Esports. Now let's see if he's going to take tyres here as he comes up to his pit box to hit the marks up by the garage. Does he take tyres? Yes, he does.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to take tires. This is pretty much that given. Because not only that, you got to manage the lap delta, and the lap delta is only going to pick up with the way that you're going to go in your race. If you keep the old tires in and you don't renovate at least some grip on the tires that will take the beating down the line in a track that is scorching hot for Portugal levels.
Yeah, it is pretty toasty here at a virtual Portimão in the Algarve. Wonderful place to go to, particularly if you like a bit of if you like a bit of golf. Lots of good golf courses around here.
Yeah, some in Lagos, some in Faro. Albufeira has some also good courses. Algarve actually has some pretty good courses. I think it was used once in the European tours.
Oh yeah, there's loads of courses. I remember when I was a kid going to Portugal to play golf, and I met Rubens Barrichello when he was a Ferrari driver.
Nice.
Yeah, and he had a Ferrari towel, which I thought was very cool, and he signed my scorecard. He was a very nice man.
Oh, he's a super nice guy, by the way.
I think I was maybe about 12 at the time, something like that. Thereabouts.
Yeah, that's actually making. If that makes you feel old, Peter, I second agree with you on that. I'm 33.
I'm 34.
You're 34.
I'm 34, and I've got the hairline to show it. You've still got the luscious locks. You're lucky. Half race distance here in the second race of the opening round of the World GT Championship, Season 16, in association with Next Level Racing and Free M. So we ride in the Porsche of Ethan Critchley. He's turned him around! He's turned him around! Ethan Critchley has got into the back of Josh Thompson. Wow. So drama already here in the second race of the season. Ethan Critchley into the back of Josh Thompson and punts him out of contention for this race win.
I know the stewards are going to have a word about this. Now, my only point of view here, Peter, I really want to look on the replay, but from looking from his cockpit perspective, Josh didn't catch up on grip at all.
No. Yeah, he maybe... At the end of the day, the car following has to keep out of it. That's the thing. Let's see. Well, this is Josh Thompson. No, he's not even halfway out the corner. He's nowhere near in the full throttle zone yet. He's picking up the throttle, but I think for Critchley, that's on him. It has to be.
It is on him.
It's got to be on him. Yeah. No, he had the run, and no, that's pretty slam dunk.
Yeah. I think the car is starting to pick off speed as soon as it's trying to come out of the corner, but the first touch of the back kind of kicked the TC a little bit, and because of that, the second touch was inevitable and thus spun Josh Thompson around. You can even see on the pit lane, but basically the damage is done.
Slight correction. Apologies to Ethan Critchley. We were running on board with one of the other WSR esports Porsches. That was Gabriel Erdeli, so a new driver to the championship who certainly is making his name known, whether that be for the right reasons or not. But Gabriel Erdeli has basically got straight into the back there of Josh Thompson, and pretty slam dunk. So, Gabriel Ardeli, here we go. Let's get another look at it. He does get a run. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's intentional, absolutely not. But it's overly aggressive for sure.
No, it's overly aggressive. Not only that, it's that thing. Josh kind of overcommits into the apex of the uphill hairpin, but the Ferrari doesn't seem to pick up the speed right, because it sounds like he parked the bus, and Ardeli did a little bit of a wider angle to come in with more speed out of the corner, and Josh didn't match his speed. Of course, you can pin this on Ardeli and if you want to, but I probably would pin him because you got to keep that distance. But I would argue the racing incident could be also applicable over here if the stewards actually take a proper look.
I don't think Josh Thompson will agree with that, that's for sure. He will definitely see it as being Gabriel Ardeli's fault. I think if you're the leading car and you get drilled off the road, I think you're only going to have that conclusion. But yeah, Ardeli did take the wider line and get on the power earlier, and the Porsche has very good traction. Thompson was parked a little bit more in the apex, but if you're the chasing car, you've got to read that. You cannot just drive into the back of somebody. So yeah, let the stewards work on that one. Oh, as Matthias Temme has a little bit of that was almost a Verstappen Hamilton action replay there, wasn't it? A little bit of it. I've only seen the clip, I haven't seen the race, but it sounded spicy,
to put it mildly. But yeah, if you're the chasing car, maybe the first touch, if he had backed down a little bit, probably could have caused a domino effect. But it's hard to make, assumptions. We're not on the track, but yeah, once you made the first contact, you have to back down, give a little bit of moment for you to go on and resume normal speed for everybody. This was avoidable contact for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the teammates go into the pits. Alex Davidson and poor old Ethan Critchley, who was taking the blame of that for his teammate. That's like at school where your friend beside you was being naughty, and then the teacher thought it was you. So apologies, Ethan, for that one. We apologise for that. Alex Davidson, quick splash and go, and back into the race. If he can get a top 5 here, maybe even a podium, that would just be the ideal start to the season.
Yeah, would definitely put him in the lead of this championship and basically the guy to beat. And like I said before, he already contended for championships before, so you wouldn't be surprised to see Davidson fighting for top 3 throughout the championship but never drop back from the competition. So we're heading now into the business end of the race. 17 minutes to go with 28 minutes down, and still a big number of drivers. There's still the top 17 cars to come into the pits for their pit stop. So the front runners from race 1, they have been into the pits. Alex Davidson, Gabriel Ardeli and Ethan Critchley, they're now all together. This is a little familiar, Lorenzo. 1, 2, 3 in a row WSR Porsches. Is this just an ominous sign for the season? Could be. The way they find their setups and strategies in this race is just completely insane. So I don't doubt anything from them at all. Really, when it comes to strategies, probably they have one of the best strategies colors in the whole game. So Davidson is a really good strategy maker. So don't doubt that.
Bacon Zelenka at the trough, filling up with fuel in his Audi, taking some tyres as well, some new trotters, and back out of the pits, and gets jumped there by one of the Ferraris. does Zelenka's Victor Wilson gets just out ahead of him, so that's a really quick stop from the Danish driver Victor Wilson.
Yes, 11.9 for Wolfson, 13.1 for Zelenka. I want to say maybe Wolfson went for 1 tire and Zelenka has gone for 2.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, very, very likely. Very, very likely. So, you know, is it going to be more difficult then for Wolfson to keep those tires in that operating window and to not overheat them? Because as soon as you do, you can't get them back down again. Madeleine Jensen will tell you that one for free, and he's got the big menacing Mustang of Anders Meyer right up behind him, running in second and third right now. They haven't pitted yet, of course. We've still got 11 cars that still need to come into the pit lane, and Lund Jensen is going to jump into the pits. Alex Gall from the lead of the motor race into the pits as well in his Apex Racing Ferrari. Let's see if he pops up on the jacks and takes some tyres, ready to hit his marks. There it goes, up on the jacks he goes. So yeah, completely different tyre strategies to what we saw in race 1.
Then again, it's not surprising for us. We kind of expected that to happen. But what surprises me as well, like Roth said, is staying for 1 more lap. Osborne, Agard, and Maida staying for 1 more lap. 3 GT4 Mustang GT3s staying on the track for 1 more lap.
So, what does that tell you? Does that tell you the Mustang's kinder on its tyres?
Probably. It surprises me given the fact they are kind of infamous on the motoring world of sorts with the weight distribution. Multimatic might have found the cheat code to maybe manage those tires.
Well, I think a lot of what Multimatic do is just so impressive that it can almost be seen as that way. Of course, their damper technology is well renowned as some of the very best in the whole world. The Multimatic dampers are an absolute marvel of engineering. Of course, they build the chassis for the Porsche 963 prototype, which has had a fairly successful competitive life so far, to put it mildly. Let's see then if Meyer and Rosseth are going to come in. Looks like they are. So into the pits then, down to pit lane speed. And that's Anders Meyer coming in from the lead of the motor race with Nikolai Agard right in behind him. The big Mustangs, also the Ferrari of Jack Osborne, car number 91, brings the 296 in. So the number 20 Mustang of Anders Meyer up on the jacks. New Michelin tyres on the left-hand side. And out he goes.
Short pit stop, by the way.
So is it tyres or tire? I wonder.
Tire, I think.
So big shuffle now as the final pit stops are complete, and it's Gabriel Erdeli who leads the race in controversial circumstances. Remember, got into the back of Josh Thompson and sent him around. So if you're Josh Thompson right now, or if you're watching that race back, you're thinking Thompson was ahead of Erdeli, and he'll be thinking, I could have won this race. And Erdeli got into the back of him, turned him around, and now it looks like another WSR Esports 1, 2 and 3. But in what order will it be? It was Davidson who finished up top in race 1 with Erdeli in second and Critchley in third. What will the order be this time? Will they hold position? Will there be team orders, do you think, Lorenzo?
Not really, I think. Because Davidson's going to be solidified with in the top standing of the championship, so regardless if he gets P1 or 2, P1 would be just an A+ on his resume right now in this point of the championship with 2 rounds in.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. So Erdeli up 15 places, as was Davidson. as is Davidson. Ethan Critchley up 12 places to third. So Alex Gall a little bit in the background there. He's 2 seconds or so back from the leading bunch. But the leading trio of WSR Porsches coming up behind lap traffic now, but coming up behind one of the Ferraris as they head into turn one once more. Just trying to keep everything under control, keeping it smooth, not overstress the tyres, keep that tyre temperature down as much as possible. So important. And which car is also best for keeping that tyre under its maximum operating window? Is it the Porsche? Is it the Ferrari of Alex Gall? Is this race got one more chapter? So one more chapter in the book here, or is it going to be an absolute domination from WSR Esports and their Porsches? And you got to think WSR right now, they are absolutely grinning from ear to ear because none of their other competitors have chosen the Porsche. So if they have a performance advantage, which it appears they do, door opened a little bit there from Gabriel Erdeli, and Davidson had a sniff, but not a full snort and up the inside there, but not quite. But yeah, it looks like, Lorenzo, they've pulled a blinder on the rest of the field.
And they pulled the rabbit out of the hat on this one. I wouldn't call Gal out of maybe contending for the last podium spot. Gap is 1 second between him and Critchley, and there's 2 lap delta between Critchley and Gal early on. Of course, we can definitely see, like, we remember when I said about strategy wise and Davidson being a mastermind, because they pitted, I think, right around the drop off as we're gonna have the switch of the lead.
Yeah, change for the lead then. So Alex Davidson goes by, makes the move, going down into turn one. And Erdeli didn't have a great deal to say about it. So Davidson is now up into the lead then. So, well, this is something that is hard to do. Winning in race one, qualifying on pole is difficult enough as it is. But to come through from 17th on the grid to get a win, wow, that would be impressive. And Alex Davidson has just under 8.5 minutes between him and a double victory to kick off the season. And with many championship rivals having issues, Jack Sedgwick having a hardware failure in race one and trying to get as much as he can out of race two. But also James Boomey getting turned around in that opening gambit of race two. Josh Thompson finishing outside the top 5 in race 1 and now in 11th after that clash with Gabriel Erdeli. So Alex Davidson has got a huge opportunity here to take a big leap on the field early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're looking into Josh trying to do the recovery race, trying to get himself into the top 10, but he finds Lipovic right in front of him, making the life a little bit more complicated from the Team Red Line driver. Of course, not the first round that Josh probably wants to have in his books. Gonna try to scratch that away from him. Remember, there's a long championship ahead of him. We're gonna end this in October, right, Peter? So basically that would be the stand of the championship, and all rounds moving forward can be something that would be the uphill battle for him to get inside the top 3.
So Alex Gall then is on the move, and he's just got past, now this is interesting, he's got past Ethan Critchley and Gabriel Erdeli. So is the Ferrari in that Apex Racing Academy trim, is it the car that's got the pace late on in the race here with just under 7 minutes to go? Gall making a great move on Erdeli to move into second place. Davidson is a little bit up the road. In fact, Davidson is not just a bit up the road, he's miles up the road, 2.3 seconds from Gall. But does Gall have enough pace to run down Davidson? Not on the last lap, 0.4 of a second in the favour of Davidson last time by, but Alex Gall for Apex Racing Academy is looking really, really strong in that Ferrari, and to be honest, he's the only driver mixing it up there with those WSR Porsches.
It looks like also Derlai and Critchley didn't fight back way too much if we're thinking about it, right?
No,
Just trying to manage the field.
You think they're worried about the tyre?
I think so. Because they are nearly longer than everybody else. They're like Davidson 6 laps in is going to be about 7 laps in. Derlai going to be 8 laps in. Critchley 6. Wolfson's right behind it. Critchley. So they're thinking about tires all the way over here, man.
Definitely, yeah. But Alex Gall, he appears to just be having his head down and getting on with this in the Apex Racing Academy Ferrari. This is still a big ask, though, with just under 5.5 minutes to go. They are almost inseparable in time on that last lap. A 145.718 for Davidson, 145.755 for Gall. So Gall is just over 300ths of a second slower that last time by, but almost identical. They're miles ahead on time of pretty much the rest of the field at this moment. So looking very, very strong. Cedric trying to make some more moves forward. He's in 17th right now, gets into a little bit of a hip and shoulder there. Now that is with Mark Fletcher, the 111 Audi. So Cedric just trying to limit the damage, trying to get some points on the board. It's not a great start to the season, but this is where champions are made, is making the absolute maximum out of a bad situation. And Cedric is trying to get by Fletcher in that 111 car. Not easy though.
No, not easy, and he cannot slouch too much because there's Aspal and Blackhall right behind him. So any mistake that the number 1 does is going to be fatal for the remainder of his round 2. But nevertheless, 32 positions. I've seen Cedric do something similar on a Silverstone race, if I remember correctly. He got like 40 positions or something of the nature. So 32 positions coming from P50 is very surprising.
Oh, spin for one of the Lamborghinis. Joe Newman for Atomic Esports goes around, and now he's got a whole bunch of cars arriving on the case. As just a tiny little spin is just coming out of the Toro VIP hairpin. Now Cedric is all over the back of Mark Fletcher, but Fletcher holding him off for now in that Audi. Cedric right on the back as they come out of Galp and then onto the start-finish straight, and here they go side by side with Cedric on the inside, Fletcher on the outside as they head down the hill now. The big plunge down to the braking zone for turn 1, and yes, Cedric does get it done for now, but Fletcher's going to fight back on the brakes, gets up the inside of Cedric, leans in hard there, and does he get by? Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. Cedric is going to come back at him again. Great racing here as Fletcher gets put out on the curb, and Cedric is now on the inside as Thomas Ashbog is our cameraman watching all this going on, and he's going to get passed up the inside now as one of the Lamborghinis, Jake Blackhall, in fact the Corvette, excuse me, up the inside. So Cedric goes by into 16th place, and Blackhall now battling away with Ashpog in the Ford. So it's Ford versus Corvette. That's the battle we've come to see.
Yeah, an all-American battle, not driven completely by Americans, which is a little bit odd, but good battle nevertheless as they go around the Tohi VIP and the corners, subsequent corners right after turn 6, 7, 8, and eventually 9 and 10. But the Corvette just not having the grip to come on the outside portion to dig the overtake on that big boy Mustang.
So at the front, Alex Davidson has responded. He's kept the hurry up going as Alex Gall got past. And interestingly, another Ferrari is up onto the podium because the WSR Porsches are going backwards. So Gabriel Erdelai has just been passed by the Audi of Bacon Zelenka. Now here comes the Mustang of Anders Meyer. Those Porsches are going backwards. Critchley's going backwards as well. So have Erdelai and Critchley, what have they done to the tyre that Davidson has not?
I think natural drop off I think it's a natural drop off of the track, and also the lap delta might be into effect right here. Imagine you have 3 laps less in terms of delta compared to the other cars, and the other cars kind of like stuck in tail with one another, giving dirty air to one another. That could also be a detrimental effect to the WSR cars. But it's something that we're probably gonna have to talk to Alex later and see what caused it for his teammates to drop off so much.
It's fascinating. A totally different world to iRacing GT competition with a different tyre, the way it behaves, the way it evolves over a race. But these are extreme conditions. It must be borne in mind. 58 degrees track temperature when we started, and you know that was nearly, I mean, pretty much double what we had at the start of race 1. So it really is a completely different ball game here. So Slepcevic, getting turned around by probably quite impatient Josh Thompson, who's had incidents of his own, who's up in 10th, but that was a little bit clumsy there. On to the final lap we go then. Davidson leads from Gal, Victor Wilson in the Ferrari up to 3rd, the Audi of Bacon Zelenka in 4th, then it's Anders Myers, big Ford Mustang there in 5th, and all of a sudden, having looked like they were locking out the podium, WSR Esports, Gabriel Erdeli and Ethan Critchley, they're back in 6th and 7th.
Yeah, there's only so much a gamble can work, right? And I think in this specific race didn't go their way. But you got to take those gambles if you're really risking for a win and or really good results. It's just the 58 degrees, man. It is punishing.
Yeah, hugely punishing, and it was just a curveball thrown at the teams. They don't really know what the conditions are exactly going to be. You know that in July in Portugal it's going to be fairly warm, but I think it is beyond the extreme of what the teams expected, and you just got to adapt quickly. And well, Alex Davidson for WSR Esports has adapted best compared to his teammates. Alex Gall, what a drive from him in 2nd. Victor Wilson a little bit further back, but onto the podium for now and trying to hold off Bacon Zelenska. But Alex Davidson, car number 55. He's been the bridesmaid for many seasons, but maybe not this year. Alex Davidson does the double in the Algarve. What a start to the season for the number 55, Alex Davidson and WSR Esports. And over the line then, Alex Gall, Victor Wilson will be your podium finishers, and Bacon Zelenska holding off Anders Meyer for 5th, and Michael Gray in that full tilt Audi scores a win in the Pro-Am class, just ahead of Nikolai Agard, with Paul Webster rounding out the podium there. And in the AM class, we look back to Jesse Payne Wilkins, another full tilt Audi. They're right in behind one of the DCW Corvettes. He comes through to win in the AM class, finishing 23rd overall. Fantastic stuff there from Jesse Payne Wilkins.
Double victories for Davidson and also Michael Gray. So. Yeah, very good start. I mean, great start for Michael Gray to have that consistency in the Pro-Am class, but for Davidson to win it from the front. Oh, it's one of that Grabowski having a problem there in the Audi. Yeah, from Davidson to win it from the front, but also to win it from 17th on the road. Managed that tyre better than his teammates. Amazing job. Dennis Grabowski there going to finish outside the top 30, and with a car that he just does not look at home with at all for Altitude Esports. Grabowski was up there fighting for overall podiums and fighting right at the front last year in the Altitude Ferrari. This season he looks all at sea in that Audi. But at the front, it's Alex Davidson who takes an early march on season 16 of the World GT Championship, with Alex Gall 2nd place for Apex Racing Academy, and Victor Wilson for Bios Simsport, newcomers to the championship, showing that they will be part of the conversation as well. Bacon Zelenka for Altitude Esports is 4th,
and Anders Meyer, the first of the Mustangs, in 5th. Gabriel Erdely making a fairly eventful start to his World GT Championship career, just ahead of his teammate Ethan Critchley. Then it was Mads Lund Jensen who led early on, and then Nathan Moore and Josh Thompson round out the top 10. Michael Gray, your winner in Pro-Am by just 0.6 of a second from Racing Lab Esports. Nikolai Eggard. Then it was Paul Webster rounding out the podium there in class. Axel Slipchevich was 14th. Then it's Joe Newman. Jack Sedgwick coming from all the way from just inside the top 50 all the way up to 16th. Those could be valuable points come the end of the year. Mark Fletcher was 17th. Then it was Thomas Aspog, Jake Blackhall and Jack Osborne. Adam Watson was 21st, then it was Richard Simner, Jesse Payne-Wilkins, Eric Rosseth. Good drive from him to get his way up to the top half of the field from the right at the back of the pack. Andy Jones was 25th, then Ben Altria, Rhys Saunders, James Boumé, Chris Chatterton and Josh Booth. Matthias Temme was 31st, but just ahead of Jamie Rushworth. Then it was Simon Andre Livingston, Harry Langford, Adam Hedgecock, Mike Barber, Andy Archer, Dennis Grabowski back in 38th, Johnny Walker in 39th, and Michael Evdoka. Difficult race for him, coming home in 40th. Ben Bennyworth was 41st, then Adam Locke, Nick Kirsten, Stan Blackwell, Andrew Fairley, Lee King, McGee, Mads Kjeldsen, Taylor Lane, Xander Van Herwijnen, and Alessandro Torchio. So, a fantastic start to the season, an eventful start to the season here in the World GT Championship, and one driver who was certainly in the thick of it in his Team Redline Ferrari was Josh Thompson. Let's see if we can get an opportunity to have a chat with Josh. He was right there in the heart of the action, but an incident with one of the WSR Esports Porsches of Gabriel Erdely took him out of the running. Josh, thanks for coming to join us here on RaceSpotTV. We have to start with the incident with Gabriel. What happened?
Probably go ask him, to be honest. Clearly didn't expect, the Ferrari had no traction all night. I don't know. I don't really want to go into it because at the end of the day it's round one, but if people want to drive like that, then yeah, fair enough.
In general, Josh, I mean, it's great to have you back in the championship once again. In general, pace-wise, how do you feel about how the order's shaken up so far at this early point of the season?
I know, it's a long way. I think for me, personally, the points is where it is. This track, I expected it to be this bad, but not this bad. So, lucky enough, there's tracks later on in the season where the car will come back to me, hopefully, so have to wait and see.
Yeah, tell us about that second race, because the track temperature was just sky high, nearly 60 degrees Celsius. How much of a difference were you feeling in the car, and just how difficult was it to keep the tyre in and to stop it from overheating?
It was interesting, shall we say. It was already bad in race one. As you saw, I was just stuck in no man's land, and no matter what I could do, the Porsche and the Audi could just drive away from me 2 temps on every exit. So it's where it is. Race two, obviously I knew it was going to be rough, but my God, like Jack showed, it was like we were just drifting everywhere. I took new tyres after getting spun around, and even then I still couldn't get past old cars on old tyres, just for traction. It's just one of those, really. Hopefully it's not too bad going forward. This was like 58 degrees, so I'm hoping we don't have a track this hot in the future, but if so, then we are in a bit of a bin, as we would say.
So what we need is some sort of Manx autumnal weather, and the Ferrari's going to be right in the window.
Hopefully. I think so. There's some races this season where I know the car will be good. This one, I will say, I do not feel great after the 24. This track, we know the car's not amazing going into it. Obviously, it's where it is. Getting the P6 in race one was like a win. Race two, I think I had a chance to win, seeing that WSR didn't know how to calculate fuel. I think I had a chance there, but obviously that didn't happen. So, yeah, let's see going forward. I hope I can come back. That's all I can say.
Well, Josh, thank you very much for coming to chat to us. Fantastic to get your insight there, and all the best of luck for the next round in round two.
Thank you, guys.
Some very interesting comments there, Lorenzo. What did you take from that?
Strong words. Very
fair, I would say.
Yeah, I do feel that there was some, feelings right there from Josh in some portions, especially at race 2 with that incident. I didn't expect the comment about the field thing though. That got me like off guard completely. But other than that, it was a race. I told you, like, the Ferrari probably wouldn't be the best car. I know it has top line speed, but it struggles a little bit. Its car would say kind of struggles more with the hot weather, and the tire drop off would be the biggest for him. But there are so many other races in the calendar that if we go on about it, good favor is gonna favor the Ferrari. So there's definitely waves of opportunity for Josh to come back and be featured within that top 3.
I think so. Well, he'll have to hope that the order switches around, because coming away from this opening round of the season, it's Alex Davidson who leaves with a perfect score, 2 wins from 2, and he heads into round 2 next week at Silverstone on a high. Be sure to join us here on RaceSpotTV, 8 o'clock British time. We go live, and it's an endurance round where tyre management, fuel strategy are going to play a factor. A huge thank you to Lorenzo Bonder for stepping in the place of Paul Smith, and we wish Paul well and hope to see him back in the commentary box very soon. Thank you to our producer Hugo Luis, and of course to all of you for watching and joining us for this opening round of the season of the World GT Championship. But for now, from all of us here at RaceSpotTV, it's good night.